Legionnaires of the Lariat, welcome back and thank you for joining us again for another delightful show. We have for you tonight the recap for Bound for Glory, TNA's biggest match of the card of the year, and it was solid. It was a solid card. With me, as always, we have my tag team partner, Steven Zapf. Steven, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Little buddy Christ for y'all. I appreciate that this show was also the largest crowd that TNA has had in like 10 years, they said, or something like that. That's pretty cool. I like that they're finally starting to get something going.
Yeah, there were some decent draws here, some matches, some good matches, some that kind of fell a little flat for me. I don't think they built enough. I think that they could have shuffled a couple things around and had better matches overall. But all in all, I think this was a solid card from coming out of TNA. At the end of the day, the production quality for TNA really drags it down. Like, I wish they would just spend a little bit of money on some entrance gear, some better cameras. I think it would go a really long way with the way they showcase the product. I think they're trying to do some cool new things or just rip off WWE in certain areas, which is fine. But I think at the end of the day, with a little bit of an upgrade in certain areas, this card could have felt way better. What do you think, Steven?
I agree. I think I have a couple notes where the production, the actual camera shots. When I say the production, that's actually where I'm at with this. I like kind of some of the entrance gear ones. I'm a little less like I expect Joe Hendry not to have entrance gear, even though I kind of want him to have entrance gear. Like, I think that's something that Joe
You mean only have one set of ring gear?
Yes.
I don't think that guy has any other ring gear.
No. He's got like 4 pairs of that one
gear. I doubt that. I think he has 1 pair of that one gear.
I don't know. It stays really nice and clean, though.
Blue spandex.
That's fair. There's, like I said, it's just certain camera shots and stuff they did throughout the night. Like, it almost seemed like you missed moves even. And I think this is one of those they need to really tighten that stuff up. But outside of that, card itself wasn't bad. I think we may have hyped this card up a little bit too big ourselves. But I think this card is a solid B.
Yeah.
If we're grading this. I don't think this is
necessarily B-, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think this is an A+ card or an A+ show, but this was a solid B. Like, it's beyond passing.
Yes, it was entertaining. Some matches more than others. I wish they would have done certain things a little bit differently here and there. I think you're right. We may have built it up a little bit. I think it could have hit our expectations if the wrestling matches were a bit better. I think that they were good. Don't get me wrong. But we talk about every week how like the match of the week comes from TNA, and I don't think that this card had that match of the week, and which is a little disappointing for how important Bound for Glory is for TNA on it being their premier show of the year. I would have liked to seen 2 or 3 of those spectacular matches. But what we got was a lot of above average, solid matches, which, left me wanting a little bit more. But we can kind of kick it off. And there's no way I'm going to be able to say this correctly. I think I'm going to need your help here, Steven. But we had Mike Bailey versus El Hijo del Vikingo. Is that right?
Del Vikingo. Yep, that's correct.
Aha!
You got
it. Nailed it. This was a pretty solid match. I did enjoy this. I think this. I was expecting the Josh Alexander Steve Macklin match to kick off the show. I still think that was the right move here. So like little critiques that I'll throw out there that when it comes to the booking thing, I think a lot of times my critiques come more from the booking side of things than the actual wrestling side of things, because I know these guys could do this stuff way better than I can. The booking things, I'm not always so convinced. But in this match, I thought this match was very solid, really fast paced. I really liked the way it kicked off. It was, honestly, I think when we previewed this a little bit last week, we said that this was the alternative first match. that we would have had. So we were kind of right there in that. And I do agree, this was the second best match to kick off the show. I think this match, not everyone really knew who El Hijo was. And I love that they gave him a spotlight, even though I hear he got hurt slightly after this match, on a house show that just came out. So I hope we wish him a speedy recovery on that front. But at the same time, I think this match suffered a little bit in certain big spot moments for me, where there's a lot of waiting around for that big spot moment on the outside. It felt a little too choreographed in certain times for me, which really kind of, I think, hurt this match in my opinion. But again, solid, two amazing athletes going at it. I was not shocked that Mike Bailey won this. That's who I would have picked in this situation. That may not have been what happens moving forward in some of these other matches. This one seemed pretty easy going. What did you think, Steve?
I feel like you're reading my notes word for word.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. I like that Bailey's getting a little bit more vicious with some of the stuff he's doing, and he's getting better at being vicious. I know my critique of him against Leon Slater was that he wanted to work the arm, but he kept doing the same move, and it wasn't like a vicious move. This, he kept going after the knee, and he kept going after the knee in different ways, and I like that. I like that he did different stuff. There was a lot of different like holds and stuff that he did. As we said, the production on this was a little, and it's funny because I literally have it written here. The match scene got to be a little bit too choreographed. I think this, I liked the match overall, but I think they suffered from a little bit too much. They did a bit too much for this match. And I know that this was the too much match.
Yeah, it's bound for glory. You leave it all out there. But it was like, even when like Ricochet and Ospreay do their choreographed spots, it always kind of like, I was like, just be more fluid. Don't practice it beforehand. Don't know exactly where you're gonna go. You can even if you want to end with the superhero pose at the end, and that's what this felt like at certain parts, where it was very choreographed. Like people, and like they weren't crisp enough to pull it off in certain situations, where like someone will be waiting for that spot to hit them rather than them walking into it and making it feel a little bit more seamless.
The backflip spot on the outside, Bailey standing there for a solid like second and a half,
just
and
waiting
like not
for it
touching
to happen.
anybody. Like he's just there waiting for him to do a backflip off the off the guardrail. The other thing is, I know Vikingo wasn't supposed to win this match, but at the same time, I feel like the diving Canadian Destroyer onto the apron should have finished this match.
Sure.
One way or another, match should have been done. They could have done a double count out at the end of a double count out on the outside of the ring, and I would have understood because of what they just did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that should have been some type of finish to the match, because what do you do after that that's going to be more devastating than that?
Yeah, and they didn't really do it. The end of this match was cool. There was a cool end of it. I dug Mike Bailey's ring gear. It made me think of you, Steven, with the ice and fire.
I did like the gear.
But all in all, this was a solid match. I know we're nitpicking here a little bit. The whole waiting around on the outside for a big spot to happen. This is not the only one guilty of doing that throughout this card. It happened 2 or 3 more times throughout the card, and so it's just something that I think TNA should work on to polish up a bit, to be taken as seriously as I think they can be. They have such tremendous talent here. I just think they need to use it a little bit better.
I completely agree with that. But you get Mike Bailey retaining the X Division title, which we all kind of saw that happening.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't even say that because we just assumed that would happen. Yeah. But Mike Bailey retaining, I think that makes a lot of sense here. I think he's doing great work with that title. And I think that introducing El Hijo was a great move here. Again, I think he hurt his knee. Wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully we'll see him back in TNA sometime soon. For the next match, we had Spitfire versus Rosemary and Wendy Choo. Steven, what's your thoughts on this one? Before I steal your thunder again.
I thought this match was actually pretty good. I think this match is in a tough position. It had to follow that X Division match. And I felt like kind of what I said was it's in a tough position to really get taken seriously by the crowd, but not for a lack of trying. Like they really, the people involved in this match really tried to get the crowd involved, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think the crowd, I think at this point the crowd was a little fatigued after that Bey Vikingo match.
Are you it wasn't throwing shade at a TNA crowd?
No, I'm actually not throwing shade. I think this was, again, I say placement of a match is important a lot of times. I think this was a good match. I don't think it was a great match, but I think this match was better than what it comes off as because of how it's placed.
I think there's no place on this card where this match works. I don't really think there was the proper real build for it. There's a little bit of a build. I think the only reason it was on the main card is because Wendy Choo was in the match from NXT. And so in this one was complete misfire for me. I think they could have done something better here.
See, I agree with you. I think this could have been on the countdown. I think this would have been a good pre-show match. This and the Gauntlet, I think they could have done both of these, and that would have been. I would like to see in the Gauntlet in the main show. Like that could have replaced that this year. I think that would have been a good opener.
Sure, like that would have been cool, and I think that would have got other people on the card that people are used to seeing. I mean, able to see Frankie Kazarian win that. So, like everyone, we had mentioned that before. Frankie Kazarian was clearly going to win that when he came in first, and AJ Francis was definitely going to lose that one. It was that was good. I think that would have fit better here. I applaud TNA for making sure that they had more than one women's match on this card, which I appreciate a lot. But this one just kind of fell flat. I was watching it and I'm like, this is fine. It's fine. I'm glad that it's here, but it's fine. So I don't have much more to say on that. I do like how Wendy Choo kind of just went ultra heel at the end. And I think from the beginning, Spitfire was going to win this. They kind of telegraphed that one.
I mean, yeah, you weren't going to have an NXT talent win your women's tag team titles. So Spitfire ends up retaining in a clean match. It was kind of good enough. Is what it was.
Fine. I wish they would have done something a little bit more impactful here. The next match coming up was the one that I was most excited for, I think, for like an actual solid match. I do think this is probably the best match in the night as well. Like we guessed it in the beginning, and I think it came true. I think that there was no other way for this to go down. It was just a solid match with nothing really at stake except for honor. We had Josh Alexander versus Steve Macklin. I really dug this match. It was really fast paced. I say that a lot because that's something that really matters to me in matches. If for those that don't listen all that often, I like a match to start off a little quick, get rolling, and then get to the next spots. Like I like a good chain wrestling aspect of things, not necessarily just in general, like kind of getting a good tempo started with a match and then keeping that tempo up. And I think they did a lot of that good work here. I was a really big fan of the win, where Josh Alexander just puts Steve Macklin essentially to sleep. He passes out in his it was an armbar. Is that it was? What was the move? I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the end move now.
Did he not do the ankle lock? I thought he did something.
The ankle lock, yeah.
He does the ankle lock, but it was after he low blowed him.
Yeah, and he wrapped them all up in that ankle lock. That's why I was mixing it up. But the Steve Macklin just couldn't take it anymore and passes out. I think this was done well in the situation. I think both men ended looking really strong. I think that either one of them going over would have been fine. These guys are two serious competitors. And they're both essentially on the same tier, in my opinion. Like they could wrestle 10 times and it can go 5-5 and no one would bat an eye here. Steven, any thoughts here on this match?
I agree. I love the fact that this match kind of had a hot shot start to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of that. This was a really good grudge match. Like, it had the fire for the fights, but you also hit a lot of cool wrestling moves. Like, there was wrestling involved in this match.
Yeah.
They tried to hurt each other with wrestling moves, with suplexes, with backbreakers. That's actually one of the coolest things I have on here is both of these guys do do a different, unique backbreaker. Macklin does that almost that Yoranagi backbreaker, where he like lifts him like a rock bottom and then just drops him across his knee.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then Josh Alexander does that power bomb into the backbreaker, which looks like it's gonna kill somebody or break his own knee, but it still looks awesome. So much kind of how we say sometimes you just gotta shut up and enjoy the show. I'm not critiquing that move. I'm gonna shut up and enjoy that move because it looks devastating. I like that Josh Alexander is not just kind of a vanilla babyface anymore. He's not just a good wrestler. I actually think that even the stuff that he's doing as far as promos is a lot better. Like, he seems just sarcastic and just kind of like better than everybody else. And I like that aspect of him.
And he can back it up.
And he backs up because he's one of the best pound for pound wrestlers in the world. And I'm saying the same thing about Steve Macklin. Macklin's my boy. I didn't see any way that this match was going to be anything less than what it was. And I know you hadn't seen Macklin up until recently, and you started becoming impressed with him like right off the bat.
They're just solid wrestlers, and I like when there's wrestling in my wrestling. Call me crazy.
What? It's
nuts.
It's like, what, you want cereal with your cereal? You don't just want a bowl of milk?
Like, I'm like, cat? What are we doing here?
Hopping around all hippity-bibbity.
All hippity-bibbity. Anything else for this one, Steven?
No, like I said, I thought this was a good match. I agree. This, if it's not my favorite, this is definitely like my number 2 on the card right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was my favorite overall. One that I didn't enjoy as much as I really wish I would have, because I do like at least half of this this match, was PCO versus Matt Cardona. I'm a big fan of Matt Cardona when he's doing actual wrestling matches, though I'm not the biggest fan of his death matches, that style. That's just not my thing. But I do like Matt Cardona. I think he's a very talented person. I love the Ghostbuster gear in this one. And then PCO coming down. I don't know if I get PCO. like how over he is. He has 2 titles right now. He is on the latter part of his career, as you'd put it, but like probably towards the part where it's almost should be next to over.
I feel like it should be over sometimes.
He's fine in the ring. This was a good kind of street fight or monster ball or whatever they called it match. It was solid. For what it was. I liked all the doors that Matt Cardona kept pulling out, because it was funny, because I'm like, how many doors do they have under a ring? That's not normally something that comes in there. Dropping a bag of tacks to then be like, I've got a new idea. More tacks. And him putting them in one by one into PCO's face was gruesome. Like, that was, and not in a bad way. I'm not critiquing it. I'm saying that it, like, I was surprised. It made you cringe. Went to that. I definitely cringed, but in the right way for a match like this. Like,
this wasn't murder.
No, it wasn't murder. It wasn't date rape or whatever else that was going on in other promotions. But he was like, them putting the thumbtacks in his face one at a time was cerebral. It was kind of vicious. It was what they had been building towards, because this one had a really decent build for it, even though, again, I don't really get PCO. I don't like, this is one of those matches where I would have liked to have seen Matt Cardona fight literally anybody else. And like, give me Jonathan Gresham in this match and I would have been much happier, I think. So that's kind of my 2 cents on this. And at the end of the day, PCO goes over on Matt Cardona, and I really just don't know why. Like, after it was over, I think I yelled at my TV, "What are we doing? Like, Why is Matt Cardona not the one that's taking the win here and getting a push? Because he's clearly the better in the prime wrestler at this moment in time.
I agree with all that. It's not that I disagree. This match was what I thought it was going to be, and I hate to say it like that, like I'm disappointed in it, because I'm not disappointed in it, because it's exactly what I thought. Like there was no way this match was going to be anything other than this.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, it's just this is what these two guys can do together, unfortunately. And I hate to say it like that because it's not as much on Cardona. PCO is not in the twilight of his career. His twilight of his career was 10 years ago. I hate to tell everybody this. Like, you shouldn't be wrestling when you're damn near 60. You shouldn't be. And he's a true solid heavyweight, which means, much to your point, Showtime, this was a slow moving match. And Cardona can move a little bit faster than this and make it look a little bit crisper than this. And I would love it. I literally have it written here. I really hope that they can get Cardona away from some of the hardcore stuff. I know he's got he's the deathmatch god and he's the indie god and all those things, all those things. And don't get me wrong, way to go for him to market himself so differently after WWE released him.
Agreed.
Make your money, make your bag, bro. But like at the same time, I know you can wrestle.
Yeah, like I want to see him in the ring with Josh Alexander and Steve Macklin. I want to see him with Kazarian. I want to see him with Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry. I want to see him with Santana and Moose. Like those, like he is in my mind in that league and doesn't need to be plodding around in match 4 of the night in a Monsters Ball against PCO.
I'd like them to bring him in for something with Brian Myers just because they are actual best friends. Yeah. Whether it's that they're feuding or whether that somehow he's teaming with the system for some reason. But I wouldn't mind seeing that. Like,
I could see Matt Cardona trusting the system.
Oh, he definitely trusts the system. He's a jerk.
So yeah, that's our take on that one. Steve, anything else you want to add to this match?
No, like you said, PCO wins this. We kind of assumed he would. I didn't see Cardona winning this championship. I think part of this is also Cardona doesn't want any real ties to any one promotion. Like I don't think he really has a contract with TNA or GCW. I think this is, hey, I'm making these dates because I'm not going anywhere else. But if WWE calls me for Royal Rumble, I'm showing up and I'm gonna. If they are dead set on me being Zack Ryder, I'll be Zack Ryder again. But I don't want to be.
He's the king of the indies, and I don't think they would. I think he's made enough of a name of himself to make it work over here. And I don't think that the WWE right now is going nuts. Though I do love the idea of him facing off against John Cena. He had Matt Cardona had mentioned that in an interview from his podcast about how he could easily blame John Cena for all of the things that went wrong for him in WWE, and it could do a quick program with the two of them on that John Cena retirement tour, which I would pop for.
John Cena.
The other very solid match of the night. I don't know if I still think the Josh Alexander and Macklin match is better. Maybe another one was better than this one, but this one could be contender for the best match of the night. Was Moose versus Mike Santana. I was an awfully big fan of this match. Steven, what were your initial thoughts?
I think this is actually my favorite match of the night. I don't know if it's necessarily like what I would call the match of the night, or like if we were doing a match of the week type situation. I don't think it would be this, but this is I think this was my favorite match. They did a lot of really good stuff. It was really physical, but like there wasn't any blood. It was kind of kept fast and loose. Like it seemed like they could be like at any point they could improv something into if it wasn't working or not. I just thought they did really well. I like Moose. I think Moose does really well in the ring. He looks great. He's in the best shape I've ever seen him in. Like he's shredded now. I know he
is a monster.
And he's got a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah,
he's a big dude, and he's like this is his trimmed up version.
Mm-hmm.
So that's saying something. Like he's a big dude that's been bigger.
I think my one thing is his gear. I feel like I'm talking a lot about gear tonight, and I don't normally do that. His gear gave me very much face vibes. That made me feel like that blue and the yellow with the moose on the back. I wish, I kind of wish he's a face. I want the system to kick him out and then him come back with a vengeance as a face in all of this. I think the TNA could use a little bit of a face heel shakeup, and I would like to see that at the end of the day. Mike Santana is being pushed to the moon right now. I agree with it. I think he's fantastic. He had some really good spots throughout this match. A bit more of a high flyer than I expected him to kind of come off in certain areas. But I thought Mike Santana was great.
I really thought Mike Santana did a great job. He wins this match cleanly. Again, this is kind of one of those push to the moon spots. You beat the former champion after you've pretty much taken out the rest of that group.
And going over cleanly is a big deal in this situation. And like Santana, I think this definitely elevates Santana as a potential rival for Nick Nemeth next.
I absolutely agree, especially since it's questionable by the end of this with stuff with our world champion, if you will.
Spoiler alert! If you want to jump ahead, you can. But so anything else for this match?
Nope.
Oh, this was. I will say, I mentioned it earlier. This was another one of those matches throughout the night where people were standing around the outside just waiting to catch, particularly Mike Santana. I just don't think that was necessary, where you're just waiting, the two of them standing next to each other, waiting to push away of Moose, that spot. They like waited next to each other for a while, where Moose could have at any moment in time just moseyed away from that spot, but then they had to wait for the push off. There's just a couple of those that like I was like, come on guys, like tighten it up. The next match was for two of the biggest women I've ever seen in like a swole way. SWOLL, I believe is how you spell that. Swole. When you have Jordan Grace, the champion, dropping that championship to Masha Slamovich. I hope that's her real last name because it's perfect for a professional wrestler. This one, we talked about this in other ones. It's like the A and the B. Essentially, I feel like the A dropped the title to the B here. In this, though, Masha was great. This match was good. I expected a little bit more out of it. It was a little slow. I wanted to see a bit more, though. I will say I critique this constantly, and I want to give roses out. These two women did the spots to show how strong they were in a way that showed that they are actually very, very strong. Like they are. I have no qualms with the idea of either of them picking me up over their heads, and I'm a quarter of a bill or whatever you want to call it. They could easily toss me around like a rag doll, even though Jordan Grace is only 5 foot tall. So like, but those spots where you really want to showcase how strong they were, I thought they were done to next to perfection.
Oh, I completely agree. Again, I thought this was a good match. I like the storyline that they tell where they both have each other scouted. They know each other so well that a lot of their normal moves don't work. I like Masha selling the knee the whole time. I thought she did a really good job selling that knee. And I thought, she went to hit that wheel kick and Jordan Grace turned it into the Juggernaut driver. And I was like, I get the kick out too on top of it, but the entire sequence, the kick, it flowed so smoothly into that driver. And I was like, this is a real thing. This just happened. And I'm not mad about it. Like, I know that this was clearly called the way it's supposed to be, but like, you didn't, like, that doesn't look full on choreographed. And I loved it. Like, I'm not mad about anything with this match. I'm not mad that Masha came away with the title. I thought she was going to. I think it was about time for Jordan to finally lose the belt. even if she is sticking around, I just think that it's about that time. She won it with a package pile driver, which is, again, she had a package pile driver and Jordan didn't kick out, so kudos to that. But yeah, I don't have any bad critiques on this match. Like you said, some of it's a little slow. I think that was a little bit of supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be slow though. I don't think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was slow on purpose.
I think that they could have strung together a couple better spot lines. Like there was a need for something a little bit more. Like this match was very strong, but it could have been excellent. And I think it was just missing that little extra spice that I like to see.
The little extra that makes it extraordinary.
100%. And honestly, I want to see Jordan Grace. And correct me if she's done this. Start doing the torture rack, like she just having these women who are twice her height and just going nuts on them in the torture rack. I think it would look really cool.
Put 9 jacks in it.
Oh, hey, let's see how that one works. We have for our second main event. So that was the first main event of the night. Second main event of the night was Joe Hendry versus Nick Nemeth. Steven, with Frankie Kazarian as the special guest referee.
Guest referee.
Do you still believe?
I'll always believe.
Always believe.
I'll always believe. And apparently everyone in Detroit believed too, because the entirety of the crowd sang his theme song. Yeah. And that wasn't pumped in. They were doing it. This was not CEO. No. They believed in Joe Hendry.
They believed. And I love the little 8 Mile nod. I was assuming that they were going to show Eminem in the crowd somewhere because of when they were playing that. It just felt like it was too perfect. But this match was solid. I really liked this match in general. There was things I would do differently and change things up a little bit, similar to what we talked about on it. Like I don't understand why Frankie Kazarian needed a ref to cash in his cup.
He is the ref.
Giant goblet. He is the ref, and him pinning one of them and counting it himself would have been freaking awesome. But instead, we had a good match interrupted by JBL clotheslining the bejesus out of everybody. Everyone took one of those things,
except for Nick Nemeth.
Yeah, of course, his boy, but even his brother Ryan Nemeth, right? Took one. I'm still trying to get all my head wrapped around all these names. But like literally, Frankie took one, Joe Hendry took one, Ryan took one. If anyone else was around, they would have taken
one. I like the match. Like you said, it was good. I like the idea that since Hendry's kind of the bigger guy, it was like a technique versus a power match.
Mm-hmm.
Joe does this like step over ankle lock during the match. That was really cool. I like that. I know a lot of times over the last few months, that's our critique of Joe Hendry has been his actual in-ring work. Mm-hmm. And I thought I don't have much critique of his actual in-ring work in this match. I thought that he did what he was supposed to do during this match. I thought like he did enough where even do I think it was the best match? No, but I thought Nemeth got the best out of him. I would have liked to have seen Joe Hendry walk over with the belt, but again, long-term storytelling that I don't know. I have it written here too that JBL lays out everybody in the world.
Yeah,
everybody.
I agree. I think that this would have been a perfect spot to give Joe Hendry the belt, but there is other opportunities for this to still go down that way as they kind of build him up, because he did get that push out of nowhere that just kind of catapulted him to the mainstream. I think that this match, like a lot of the other ones, suffer from just doing a basic match. I feel like these are all Impact matches, where like Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth could have taken this to the next level and put together a really strong match. I know that Nick has it in him. But all in all, I like this match in general. I didn't love all the teases of Frankie cashing in and then not ultimately cash. Did he cash in?
No,
Because I felt like he cashed in and the JBL clotheslined the hell out of him.
So I will say this: my one critique is that I felt like Frankie should have been involved more in this.
Yeah,
like it felt like not just the cash in part. Like it just felt like he doesn't like either one of these guys, and he's just standing around. Like he's not MFing anybody. He was just there.
Yeah.
I think he should have been way more involved, or been not involved at all. Just been like, I mean, I'll count a pin eventually. Like you guys go do whatever you're gonna do, and maybe I won't cash this in.
Yeah, I did like earlier in the show when he was reading Earl Hebner's book for
I
tips.
Loved that.
That was quite
that. Can't you see I'm studying?
The attention to detail there was magnificent. So I did really enjoy that. For the main event of the night, we had Full Metal Mayhem of the Hardys versus ABC and the System. I will say my favorite part of this match probably was the aesthetics, the ring, and all the stuff around it. Looked absolutely amazing.
That's something cool.
Like that was production quality. It's still the production quality is still inferior to like something like a WWE, but like they put the effort in. Like I almost felt like this whole match should have happened in a black light, which would have been kind of cool. But at the end of the day, I enjoyed this match more than I expected to. But again, it's not my cup of tea at the end of the day. So I liked it as much as I could. So the next night, again, Chris Bey got hurt pretty substantially and had to get rushed for neck surgery. And he just had that. So, Chris, we wish you all the best in the speedy recovery. It didn't happen in this match. I think it happened on the next Impact taping, but it was serious. They have a GoFundMe going for him. If you guys are interested in something like that to help him with his medical bills, wrestling is not known for having the best benefits in the world. So you can find that Kickstarter GoFundMe page or whatever it is. And Stephen, if you want to, maybe we should link it below.
I will look it up and I'll link it on our stuff as well.
What I did here was that he raised like over $25,000 in like a day and a half. So there's a lot of people out there supporting him, which is nice.
That's upsetting too, because literally one of my notes is that ABC is pretty amazing. Like I love them as a team. I think they are a great young tag team. It's funny because all night you've been talking about gear. I loved the System's gear in this.
Yeah. Like
their gear looked awesome. Like that was dope. Like that black, white, gold motif that they had going on.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. It's so upsetting that you said that about that, because I didn't even hear about the Chris Bey stuff. And I have written down here, I want more of ABC. Like we've been talking about ABC for months now, like that they're a really good team. I do agree. I don't know if I would have had this match on as the actual main event. I feel like the world title match still should have been the main event, but I also get it. It's the Hardys. This is probably the last time they're going to hold a title belt ever.
Yep.
And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if over the next year, the Hardys are inducted into all of the Hall of Fames. They're gonna make it into the WWE Hall of Fame. They're gonna eventually get put into the TNA Hall of Fame. I wouldn't be surprised if they just get put into the regular Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. If AEW had a Hall of Fame, they'd put them in there too, for some reason.
Yeah, they'll add it up. I think TNA is trying to make their Hall of Fame more of a thing. Inducting Rhino. I had heard that they had reached out to doing AJ Styles, which AJ's response was, "I'm still an active wrestler, brother." So when I'm not an active wrestler, I'd be interested in those kind of things, but I'm not interested right now because I am active, and I don't think I need to be in the Hall of Fame as an active wrestler, which, I appreciate. So it comes down to it. I mentioned my favorite part of this match was probably all the aesthetic around it, the way the ring apron looked, all of the chairs that were all painted up. It was a cool look to the match. Though with all those people in it, it got a little forgettable. I liked how they started off by double teaming or quadruple teaming the system. That was the right move. I think it made complete ring sense. Ring quality, ABC and the Hardys had been teaming up already, so it was the odds were stacked against them. But all in all, a solid match. It was fun. This whole thing had a little bit too many gimmicks for me, but it was kind of like a Halloween kind of gimmick feel to it. So I get it.
I agree. Like I said, I think this was, we get the Hardys winning the titles. This is going to be probably the last title belts that they ever hold, because I don't see them winning WWE tag team titles. So
they could. 8-Town Down Under just had it, so I mean,
that's
anyone
true.
can win it.
I mean, who knows? They might get brought in to win the NXT tag team titles.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Who knows? Because you know why? Wrestling.
Because wrestling. Whatever you say, anytime you hear the words, "There's no way this happens," it's going to happen. It's definitely happening. It's just them telling you it's going to happen. So that is our review for Bound for Glory. I think it was a solid show, solid B-, B-ish level. I wanted to see a little bit more wrestling, a little bit more out of it, but all in all, I was very entertained. I had a great time. I think you guys should go and check it out if you haven't already. I've watched some of these matches even more than once because I enjoyed them so much. So, Steven, anything else for Bound for Glory?
I think this is, like we said, this was a solid B. Just in general, TNA is still putting out a great product. I am excited to see where they keep going from this. This review coincides with our 1,000,000 episodes this week, because we have the Me and Hound episode, we have the Me and You episode, which is our normal weekly trend. We have a review of Halloween Havoc. We have a review of this. We have a preview of Crown Jewel. There's a lot going on this week, and a lot going on, and we're doing it all for you guys. Just so you know, we are giving all of this for you, for the Legion, because we love you. We do, and we think that the one thing that we do better than mostly every other wrestling podcast out there is, I think we give a great analysis of things. And it's the one, if there's one thing that we do that's top notch, it is that. So we want to make sure we give it to you guys as often as we can.
And we want to hear from you in the comments below. Please feel free to obviously subscribe, but also tell us where we were wrong, which ones we were too soft on, which ones we were too hard on, which ones do you want to was your favorite. Anything you want to give us some context on it. I think this is a great opportunity to get into TNA. This match, this card was definitely a solid starting point, I think, for you to kind of jump into TNA if that's something you guys are interested in. We want to thank you all for your support. We love you so much. And Steven?
Always remember, tuck your chin when you bump.